WWE Fastlane from Indianapolis just ended a very interesting pay-per-view because it was only 5 matches. When's the last time you remember a WWE pay-per-view having only 5 matches? That takes me back to the era of the NXT takeovers. Remember how TakeOver would only have 5 matches, but they would all be bangers? That's kind of what this show reminded me of. It wasn't a long show at all. It was literally almost exactly 3 hours from 8 to 11. And let's talk about the show. Let's talk about it. You know, not lots of interesting matchups, but it was kind of a B show before we get into the next Saudi show coming up in November. And of course, Survivor Series, where the rumor of CM Punk return to WWE is supposed to culminate at Survivor Series in Chicago. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but the rumors have been going wild all week. The story, from what I understand, is that he wants to go back, but it's going to be up to Vince McMahon. Really, he's the guy who makes the decision, being, of course, the chairman of TKO. He's going to be the guy that ultimately decides whether or not CM Punk will get a second chance in WWE after years of trashing them, and even in AEW trashing them. Of course, money talks, and business is what the company cares most about, and we'll see. But that's not what happened tonight from Indianapolis. Let's go through the card. So the opening matchup was Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus Judgment Day for the undisputed tag team titles. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso won in a really, really good match. Lots of action here. These teams had great chemistry. I want to put them over because the finishing sequence of this match, the back and forth, you know, the move after move after move that went into the finish, was so well orchestrated and so well, so well done. I mean, the talent that these guys have, they're at the tippy top because in order to be at the right place and at the right time to execute all of these moves so perfectly, you have to be just the absolute best in the business right now. You have to be at the top of your game to be able to execute moves like this. And they were able to pull it off. There was a nasty spot in the match where Cody did a crossroads on the table on the outside of the ring, the announce table, and it really looked like he hurt himself more than he did Damian Priest, which of course you would think he would because his back landing on the chair, on the table more than anything else. You would think that would be the finish, or you would think that it would be him that gets hurt, but Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso won, so they have now won the tag team titles. Of course, the story coming out of this is that the story coming out is that Jey Uso was able to win gold in WWE without Roman Reigns. So I'm sure that'll be addressed on SmackDown coming up on Friday when Roman Reigns returns. And there was basically a miscommunication between JD McDonough, and Damian Priest, and that's what led to Cody and Jey Uso winning. So it's Cody's first piece of gold in the company since coming back. I don't think they're going to be champions for that long, though. But it looks like during the match, they had a spot where Jey Uso got hit right in the head with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I thought that was the finish, but he actually kicked out. And then Priest hurt his knee on the briefcase. I thought when this happened, I really believed that they were going to change the title later on. I really thought when this happened that Damian Priest was going to cash in Money in the Bank tonight. It really felt that way. Of course, that wound up not happening. So then we had the LWO, Latino World Order, against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. This match went about 10 minutes. And, they did enough, but it wasn't quite, it didn't quite get going. It felt more like a SmackDown main event. Now, it was 3-on-2 at first because whoever the person was that was supposed to be the replacement partner for the LWO didn't show up until later. And it was, of course, Carlito with new music. He didn't have the I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. I don't know why he didn't have that music because that is his music. That's the music he had. But seeing Rey Mysterio, Bobby Lashley, and Carlito in the ring, along with John Cena later, I'm like, is this 2005? And like it felt like this show was from another era, seeing these guys in there. But The opening tag match to me was really the show stealer when it came to just great in ring action. This was okay. Can't complain. It wasn't bad. It was just okay. Io Sky versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. I thought, this is for the WWE Women's title, I thought that Jade Cargill would debut because they did show her arriving in the building earlier, in like an Escalade or something like that. So I thought the story was that, I think it was an Escalade, was that she was going to make an appearance at least, but she didn't. Instead, Io Sky, Asuka, and Charlotte had a three-way. I'm kind of burnt out on these like three-ways and four-ways, but when it comes to the women, but they're going to work hard. I mean, they always work hard, and Io Sky did retain in a good match. Again, this felt like it could have been a SmackDown main event, but it was only the third match on the show. And I'm not really sure where we go from here with Io Sky. There's obviously Bianca Belair who has to come back and maybe get her revenge. You've got a possible feud with Bayley. Maybe if there's a jealousy storyline there. This show felt like they were just trying to get through the show and move on with the stories. So it wasn't like it was that big of a deal. John Cena and LA Knight versus the bloodline of Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. So Pat McAfee came out at first, and I was wondering what they were going to do with him. He did do commentary for this match, and you know what? I was happy to see Pat there because we haven't seen Pat McAfee do commentary in a long time, and he's always been awesome at it. I miss when he used to co-host SmackDown, dude. Like, he was a breath of fresh air, yo. Such an enthusiastic, likable guy. He introduced John Cena, the 16-time champion. This match was designed to get LA Knight over as a main eventer, and that's precisely what it did. They had a long heat spot for John Cena. I mean long. Solo and Jimmy Uso beat down on John Cena, just beat him down, beat him down, beat him down, beat him down. Cena's almost making the hot tag, coming real close, but, they worked the match different than the opening tag match. The opening tag match had a lot more action and had a lot more, just the back and forth melee. This match was worked a lot more like an old school, like 80s, NWA tag match, where you've got Robert Gibson selling until he tags in Ricky Morton. No, Ricky Morton selling until he tags in Robert Gibson. I got that backwards there for a minute. That's what this felt like because John Cena was selling, makes the hot tag. LA Knight runs wild. The crowd is going nuts. Every single time LA Knight did a move, they were like, yeah. Like, it was just, they were into this guy, yo. They were really into this guy. So, Cena and LA Knight win. And LA Knight, of course, doing all his signature moves. They win the match. This is going to be leading to LA Knight eventually going up against Roman Reigns at some point. That's going to happen. I'm not sure if it's going to be Survivor Series or Royal Rumble, but they're building to that. I know that Saudi is supposed to be Roman and AJ Styles. I'm not sure if they're still doing that. They may have moved things around, but LA Knight will definitely face off against Roman. He's not going to beat him, I don't think, but he'll definitely challenge for that undisputed Universal title. And I get it, man. Strike when the iron's hot, But again, they're not going to change the title over, I don't think. I think LA Knight will lose, but this is all being set up. Like, John Cena's grooming, and I am using the term grooming. It's not a sexual thing. It's just preparing him. Don't think it's sexual. He's preparing LA Knight to be a top guy, and when the match ended, Cena was the one that held up LA Knight's hand. So it was almost like Cena, the former top guy, was sort of passing the torch to LA Knight without having them have a match. And that's something I did not want. I didn't want Cena to turn heel and have him go against LA Knight and have LA Knight beat him. I didn't want that. Instead, I like this, where they work together to beat Jimmy Uso and Solo, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. And it'll give Roman Reigns a reason to complain on Friday because he's going to be pissed off that Jimmy and Solo lost to LA Knight and John Cena. So that feud, of course, is not over yet. Well, this match is only the beginning of the stepping stone for the next, story. Let's not forget that Paul Heyman and Cena will both be on NXT this week because WWE is counter-programming the NXT. With NXT, they're counter-programming AEW Title Tuesday. So that'll be interesting. Make sure that you... that's going to be something on Tuesday, man. I can't wait for that. It's going to feel awesome. this Tuesday night, and they definitely are stacking the deck. You know, Undertaker, they have a gong at the end of the promo. Undertaker might show up on NXT. Like, they are really, really trying to hammer AEW out, yo. Very interesting. Then we have the main event. Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, last man standing match for the World Heavyweight title. This match went almost a half hour long. They did all kinds of different stuff with plunder. They used tables, they used ladders, they used nunchucks, which popped everybody I was watching it with. That was awesome. That Nakamura whipped out the nunchucks, trash cans, kendo sticks, you know, your expected flair. Usually WWE last man standing matches, especially the ones with Cena in them, are usually very, very good. I've called John Cena the king of last man standing matches. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch any of his last man standing matches. Whether it be the one with Bray Wyatt or the one with Umaga, rest in peace to both of them. Batista, John Cena is really, really good at having last man standing matches. Like, he just knows how to make them work. You know what I mean? He just knows how to do it. Here we have Seth, who was in his first last man standing. I believe Nakamura's in his second, I think. It worked. These guys, you know, they had a few false finishes. There was one actually in particular I like where they're both on top of a ladder by the announce table. Nakamura spits the mist in Seth's face, and Seth falls through the announce table. That was cool. They had a spot where there was like a little area set up that probably was a crash pad. Seth fell off the it was like near the balcony area seating. He fell into that. That was cool. The finish came when they were brawling on the other side of the arena, and Seth hit a Falcon Arrow from this little platform through the tech table where all the cables are at, and that was enough. Nakamura almost got up, but he went back down. Seth wins. A little anticlimactic, I would say, especially with the fact there was no cash in. But overall, this was a decent pay-per-view, but it screamed B show. Even more than Payback last month. This show was a B show in every sense of the word. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, because everybody on this show worked hard and there were no bad matches. And if you watch it, you will be entertained for 3 hours. But it did not feel like an epic A show, probably because nothing of note really happened except for the tag title change. And I guess you could say the same thing about Payback last month, but this felt even more so like it was that, in my opinion. It's up to you. I mean, at least last month had that cage match, but nothing really happened of note, I would say, on this show. There were no big angles or nothing like that to set up the future. It was just a pay-per-view with some matches to continue feuds. Obviously, it feels like we're going to get to some kind of 4-on-4 match at Survivor Series between Cody, Jey Uso, Sammy, and Kevin Owens, probably going up against the Judgment Day with JD McDonough. I'm guessing that's the, McDonough, whatever. I'm guessing that's the 4-on-4. Whether it be War Games or not, we'll see. That could be what they do. They could also do something with the Bloodline. Jimmy and Jay could be on opposite sides. I mean, they could even do a Raw versus SmackDown thing where you have the 4 faces of Raw facing off against, 4 heels. Roman, Solo, Jimmy, and whoever the 4th heel can be. It could be anybody. It could be Drew. It could be anybody, really. It could even be Nakamura. I don't know who it could be. It wouldn't fit right now. I don't think we're going to get that. I hope we don't get another Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series, because I hated that. Every year it just meant nothing. I hope we actually get something that furthers along storyline. So this show could have honestly been skipped as far as furthering along storylines, except for the tag title match, but you should probably watch it because there were some good matches on the show and everybody worked hard. So if you got 3 hours and you want to see some good wrestling, some good vibes, watch WWE Fastlane. The next show is going to be the Saudi show, Crown Jewel, at the beginning of November. I'm sure I'll have a review for that ready when the time comes. Take care, y'all. I'll see you then. Actually, I'll see you during the week because I got more videos going up. Take care, and let me know what you thought about Fastlane down below. Take care.